Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Saif. I'm an account executive here at Odoo, and I'm going to be walking you through how to start an e-commerce business in 2025. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are waiting to take a look at how we might be able to guide you through this process. So I'm going to cover a few main things today. I'm going to walk you through a quick demo, how we can then set up this e-commerce business for a hypothetical furniture store that I'm looking to open. And then we're going to talk about a few key things that are most important for any e-commerce business. Now, that's not just the product, but it's also the distribution channels. That means your inventory management, your supply chain, your procurement, and then finally your delivery. Right? At the end of the session, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and answer any of your questions. So if you do have any questions, you can feel free to leave them towards the end, and then I'll be able to answer it from there. Right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, what you're looking at right now is the main odoo.com page, right? This is our website page, and you can go ahead and create a trial or your e-commerce from here directly. So simply, I'm going to press on try it free, jump on our e-commerce, utilize Odoo's one app free selection, meaning you can utilize the e-commerce application for an unlimited amount of users for an unlimited amount of time. I'm going to quickly go ahead and jump in. And let's just add, my company information. So I myself, Saif al-Marzoui, let's call this website Saif's Furniture Store. I'll add a quick email. Now, in this case, I'm not going to be verifying the email. However, it is going to prompt you on your email to go ahead and verify it. So you can go ahead and do that. Now, take a note of the URL, because what you actually might be able to do is you could go online and search for this URL specifically. And it'll be kind of fun to do this exercise where you're purchasing items, and I'll be keeping up with the demand that you guys will place. Right? So if you have a laptop handy, if you have a phone handy, you can go ahead and try doing that. Right? So let's go ahead and build this website here on Odoo. And I'll guide you through the process as we go. Now, there's only 4 steps to going ahead and setting up this website, and Odoo is going to guide us through all these steps. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm looking for is an online store, and the line of business I'm in is furniture. Now, let's go ahead and look through these pre-made items. Let's just say our furniture store, and the main objective, in my case, is to sell more. Now, I can either upload a logo or go ahead and select from one of these pre-made color palettes. Now, let's go ahead and select, let's go ahead and select this one. I like the purple and orange. Now, we can go ahead and add a couple different screens, pages and features that our clients would be able to check out. That'll be, for example, our About Us page. Let's take a look at maybe pricing. Let's look at success stories, and possibly even a store locator for when I want to expand and open up a couple of stores later down the line. Right. Now, Odoo is going to prompt us with a couple of different selections for our online catalog. Now, this depends really on the structure you want to follow. Now, I want to keep it very intuitive, very straightforward, without compromising any details. So I like the smart buttons we have here on top. However, I want them to be able to select the variants that they want to choose. So let's go ahead and select this option. Now, let's say our favorite product page. I like this one. I like how it breaks down the pictures and it zooms in and giving us a selection. So we'll go ahead and select that. And now finally, I get to select my theme. Now, these are pretty cool, but I can go ahead and view more themes if there's any more that I want to take a look at. Scroll down, see anyone that catches my eye. I like this one in particular. Right? So now we just went ahead and selected it. Odoo guided us, and now I'm just going to wait. Usually it takes about a minute or so, but in this case, it's taken about 15 seconds. And from here, we can go ahead and see the website that Odoo's built for us. Now we're almost there. Just that last bit remaining. And that should be about it. Yeah, there we go. So here we have it. Right? We have our furniture store that was created. Now, of course, you'll notice a couple of things that might be a bit inaccurate, but we'll just go ahead and walk through what Odoo's built for us. Now, of course, we have our main page. We have our best pictures that, of course, you can add your own, and I'll walk you through how we might be able to customize this. Now, here we have our quick process. This simplifies the buying process for our clients, which is also something nice to have. And then from there, we could take a look at the team. Right? I'll probably add a picture of myself somewhere. There we go. That looks pretty cool. It is a start, but we can go ahead and modify from here. Before we modify the homepage, I want to take a look at the different pages that we have. Now here, of course, we have our shop page, but we don't have any products yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a couple of products. We have our pricing. In this case, this could be for any services we provide, where we're providing furnishing services. Our success stories, this creates a blog. I can go ahead and modify this whenever. And about us, of course, we can go ahead and add more details on who we are, what we do, and who we work with. And finally, a contact us page for whoever wants to reach out. Okay, this is a great start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and edit this because we noticed that there are a couple of things that might be a bit inaccurate. For example, here it says fresh flowers. Now, I'm not in the business of selling fresh flowers. So what I'm going to go ahead is I'm going to add or modify this header over here, right? Now, we can do a couple of things. In this case, we're taking a look at the description itself. Now, we can add a highlight, make it look a bit nicer. Maybe even add this one over here. We can go ahead and animate this text. Let's animate it on appearance. Let's do a whole, maybe that's not quite relevant, but let's just do a quick slide. And then we can go ahead and modify. Now, of course, the first thing I do is I go ahead and add a description for the different products. Right? Now, we can do a couple more things as well. We can go ahead and actually add pages. So for example, let's say I want to add this column over here. Now, in this column itself, I can decide what exactly I want to see. So this could be some content. It could be images, possibly. It could be the team. It could be text, contact forms, our social media, etc. What I want to take a look at is actually our social media. Because while I also want to create this website for people to be able to find us online, I want to be able to consolidate all the different places I can get my revenue from. What that means is I'm probably going to have an Instagram page for my furniture store. So I want to be able to get people towards that page. Right? There we go. This is what we've added, as well as our Instagram. Right? And then that could take us from there. Excellent. Now, enough with the designs. Let's actually focus on the distribution and actually selling. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a couple new products. Right? Go ahead and select new. In this case, Odoo is going to prompt me with a couple of different things. We can add a new page, a new blog post, or a new product. In this case, let's go ahead and do product. Now here, I want to add a chair. I might keep this quite straightforward. If we had a barcode to scan it with, of course, you can use Odoo's built-in barcode scanning functionality. And let's say I'm going to be selling this chair for 175 dirhams. And here's the price with tax included. And then we can select the different category in the website. So let's go ahead and say, let's say, desk chair, to be a bit more specific. The category we want this in is in chairs. Go ahead and save. And now we have our desk chair. So if I save this, I jump back into shop. Now we can see I can select chairs. And I can even play around with the price range. Right? We can even sort from lowest to highest, by featured, by newest arrivals. But in this case, we only have one item. Right? Now, we can go ahead and keep adding items from here. However, let's go ahead and do it from the backend. So if I jump into the products page, this is now Odoo's backend. I can go ahead and add a new product. Now, here's where I'm able to play around a bit more, right? So let's say this is going to be an office chair. Of course, we can sell it and we can also procure it. Now, this is a good, and we're able to invoice it on ordered quantities. Now, if you want to be able to track and have complete traceability of this product through either serial numbers or lot numbers, we're able to do that. And that affects the cost of goods sold, of course, when it comes to your accounting. But let's keep it quite simple. Let's add a sales price of 225 dirhams with the sales tax is how much it's going to be. And let's say on average, this costs us about 150 dirhams. Now, what Odoo does is it's going to update the cost price automatically as you procure this product. However, since we don't have the procurement application, we're just going to go ahead and leave it at that. Right? Now, we can select the category we want. This is a good. We can select reference number for internal keeping, and we can jump into sales. Now, what I want to do is I want to add a bit more upselling and cross-selling opportunities. So I can increase the average amount of money that's being spent by our clients. So let's say for optional products, we can go ahead and select a desk chair. And maybe even possibly, or we can possibly add this in an alternative product. Because if they're looking at chairs, maybe they didn't like the office chair, we can suggest that, hey, take a look at this desk chair. So we publish this, and now we're going to add it to the chairs category. And we can even add any images. Now, if we don't have an image, I can just go ahead and search for chair. Give it a second. And let's take a look at an office chair. In this case, maybe this one's good to go. We're going to go and add this image. And this is going to go into our e-commerce media. Awesome. Here's where we have a couple bits of more details. Now, we have a couple different price lists as well. And that could be set based on the type of client. For example, if you have recurring clients that have an account on your e-commerce and you want them to log in and they have a special discount, we can add that as well. But for now, let's just go back to the website, go back to the homepage, and let's jump into the shop. Now, if we go to shop, we filter by chairs. Now we can go ahead and also filter by price. Let's say if I only want to look at this price range, we only get the desk chair. If I want to then look at price high to low, we could go ahead and do that as well. Now let's jump into the office chair and we can see the e-commerce media that we've added, but we can do a couple more things here as well. Now, here's the alternative products that we've added on the e-commerce setup page, but let's make this a bit more robust. Now, we can also add a tax indicator that says this is tax excluded. We might be able to add terms and conditions as well. And we can even add reviews. So if we now scroll to the bottom, there's a customer review section, and we could see that per product by simply just activating that option. Now we have the purchase style set as default, but we can go ahead and modify this. We can add it as a boxed icon or even just as this large icon. But I kind of like the box. Now, we have a couple of different purchase options. Only quantity is enabled, but we can go ahead and select buy now. So if they're in a rush, we should not stop them from purchasing this product. So we're going to go ahead and buy now. Now, we can do a couple more things. We can modify this. We can customize it. But for now, I think that's good to go, and we'll go ahead and save it. All right? Now, what we can do is we can go ahead and purchase this product directly. What I'm curious to see is if any one of you would manage to find safefurniturestore.odoo.com, and if you're able to actually purchase these products, because this is now published. So if you go on this website online, you would be able to see these products published. Right? Now, while a couple of you do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and buy now. Now, what this is going to do, it's going to show us our order summary, and it's going to take us to our final checkout page. Now, in this case, let's say I want to purchase 5 of these office chairs for an office that I have. I can apply a discount code if I have it. If there's any delivery charge or pickup at my warehouse, we can do that as well. But I'm going to go ahead and check out. Excellent. Now, here's where I'd be adding a bit of information. Let's just add, dummy data for now. And that should be good enough. Now, if we go ahead and confirm, since we haven't connected this to our inventory application or our sales application or even our accounting application, this process has now been completed, right? What I want to do now is we've tackled the e-commerce side of things, the design, making sure that your online presence is good to go. I want to take a look at the back end and tackle our distribution problem. right? If I now jump back to the backend, this is Odoo's homepage. Now with Odoo's homepage, you're able to see a couple of different things. Now in Odoo, we have our different business models or different departments set into different modules. And each module, of course, corresponds to a different business unit or an operation. Now, the only thing that we have is website, as well as invoicing. This is both included within the One App Free. We take a look at our customers. We can see that at the moment, nothing has been logged yet. However, we still have a payment right over here marked by this icon on Safe, which is the person that purchased this product. Now we can see what Safe sales are. If I jump into sales, we can see that I purchased 1,200 almost dirhams worth of these chairs, right? Now, what we can do with a bit of tweaking and configuration is we can process this operation automatically. However, since we had just set it up and it's been about maybe 16 minutes of entire setup, that part hasn't been completed yet. But I'll show you what it looks like as soon as it's confirmed and the payment's been done. So now this went from a quotation in our cart to a sales order back in our financing, in our accounting. And we'd be able to create an invoice directly. Now, all this is done automatically if you're able to configure and play around with the settings within Odoo. But in this case, or in this specific use case, since it's been about 17 minutes, that part hasn't been configured. What I want to do, though, is I want to actually have a grasp on my distribution. Because so far, we're able to sell and we're able to have a presence online and we're able to funnel in these sales, but there's no way of tracking our inventory, tracking our location, tracking our distribution, suppliers, and fulfillment. So in order to do that, I'm going to jump into our app store and download a couple more apps. Right. Now again, with Odoo's app store, you're able to add any applications you might need. For example, if I'm doing any B2B sales, I might add a CRM. If I have a shop, like the locations that I'm hoping to open up later on, I have a point of sale. Now we have a couple of different connectors as well with Amazon, for example, and Shopee if you're in East Asia. But for now, we're just going to focus on the e-commerce side of things. Now, what I want to do is focus on supply chain. So this would be, to simplify it, just inventory and purchase. So I'm going to go ahead and download inventory. We're going to be prompted that we are no longer going to be in the One App Free period, but we can go ahead and confirm. And then once that's done, we're going to go ahead and download the purchase application as well. Right. We'll just give that a second to load. Excellent. Now we have the inventory application. Jumping into inventory, we can see our inventory overview. This is what, if yourself and you are a sort of one-man army at the moment waiting to expand, you'd be able to have full oversight of your receipts and your delivery orders. However, if you were, let's say, an inventory manager or you're a shopkeeper or you're in charge of a warehouse, you'd be able to segment the different operations that you might want to take care of. But to keep it simple, putting ourselves in the shoes of someone that's just opened an e-commerce business, we're just going to manage receipts and delivery orders. Now, what we can do now is if we go into products and we go into office chair, we can see that a new option has been selected, which is track inventory. As soon as I go ahead and enable track inventory, we're now able to track quantity, we're able to track forecasted amount, we're able to track minimum and maximum reordering rules, and we can see how many of these operations were conducted, in and out. Excellent. If I jump into inventory as well, we can see from a logistics standpoint who's responsible, what the weight is, what the volume is, as well as any customer lead time. Right? Now, let's go ahead and add procurement as well so we can have the full picture. Jumping into our supply chain, installing the purchase app, confirming that we are looking to add this application. We'll give it a second again, and I'll show you what we're able to do with purchase. Excellent. Now I want to navigate back to the office chair product, but instead of having to go through the apps, I could just simply go ahead and type products, jump into office chair, and now we have the purchase tab. So when I jump into a purchase tab, what you're able to see is the vendors that you have. So we can add a vendor. Let's say in this case, I believe someone called Argentum had found the website. So congratulations, Argentum. Let's add Argentum as a supplier, right? Now, of course, it's going to take the cost price and we can select the quantity we want to purchase in. So now what I'm going to do, and keep a heads up Argentum, is I'm going to go ahead and offer to or ask to buy this office chair from you so I can then sell it to my customers. So I'm going to go ahead and go take a look back, jump into purchase, and here I'm going to create a new purchase order, right? Or a draft purchase order, which is an RFQ. Select new. And of course, what you need for a purchase order is what you're buying and who you're buying from. So if I'm going to go ahead and select Argentum, I'm going to select from my catalog what I'm able to purchase from Argentum. Let's say Argentum, I want to buy 10 office chairs from you. I'm going to jump back to quotation. And now we can see with this quantity, with the unit price, with the taxes, this is how much my total price is going to be. Right? And based on your fiscal position, it's going to determine which taxes you need to utilize. Right? Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to confirm this order from Argentum, right? Assuming that Argentum had accepted these. Perfect. So now I've went ahead and sent this or confirmed this purchase order from Argentum. And we can see a couple of things pop up. The quantity that we've ordered, the amount that we've received, this goes back to inventory, and the amount that has been billed, this goes back to finance. So far we've grown from our small e-commerce operation to now we have a few different departments under the same user. Right? What we like to say about Odoo is it is the most affordable employee you could get. But nonetheless, let's jump into our receipt, which would be an inventory operation. Excellent. Now I'm in the inventory side of things. Again, we could either jump back, move over to inventory, and see that we now have a receipt operation to be done. Or if you're going to be a one-man army, we can go ahead and navigate again to the same purchase tab, which is purchase order number 1. So let's jump into receipt. Again, we have 10 products and we've received 10. I'm going to go ahead and validate this from Argentum. And now it's time to pay. So now the inventory operation has been completed. And we can see that with our chatterbox on the right, every single item, every single operation that has been completed gets logged here on the system. Now, what this does is it gives you a ready audit report to be able to see who changed what. And this is important when you grow your team. So let's jump back to the purchase order. We've just received these items. Again, quantity 10, received 10. The last thing that's remaining is to actually pay Argentum. So let's go ahead and upload a bill. Excellent. Now, let's take an example, right? For example, let's say I'm just going to upload this VAT report, right? Excellent. Now, what we're going to do is we can then confirm this bill. And from an accounting perspective, we can see, of course, we don't have the accounting application, but you can see what exactly has been debited and what exactly has been credited automatically. So let's go ahead and confirm. Excellent. Now it's time to pay Argentum. But before we do that, let's not jump the gun. Let's go ahead and print this vendor bill. Now, what we're able to do is we're able to select which item we want to see, right? Or which, rather, document layout we want to see. So in this case, we're going to select the wave layout. I'm going to go ahead and press continue. And this is the vendor bill that we have. Once I go ahead and save that, we now have this vendor bill, right? Jumping back, now let's go ahead and pay Argentum. Now we can select how we want to pay him. It could be bank, credit card, it could be cash. Let's just go ahead and select cash, let's go ahead and select bank. And then of course, as we interact, myself and Argentum, we can see what his specific account number would be. So let's go ahead and create the payment. And now this has been marked as paid. Now, of course, if you had different accounting controls and you had the accounting application, we could add a part where you would have to reconcile this with your transactions in order for it to be registered as paid. But for now, since we don't have the accounting application, it's going to be registered as paid. Excellent. So now what this does is if I go back to our original purchase order with the reference PO1, we now have the quantity that we ordered, the ones that we received, the ones that have been billed, and the price. Now, another neat thing we can do on Odoo is we could take a look at this forecast report. But let me show you what that looks like from our inventory application. Jump into inventory. The operations have been completed. If I take a look at our products or our reporting, go to stock, we could see our office chair. Now, if we jump into office chair, we could see the forecast amount. Now, it seems while I was doing the purchase, someone went ahead and is attempted to purchase 2 items. So let's go ahead and do that. Seems to be Argentum again. So Argentum had purchased 2 office chairs with 1 delivery. Now, what you're taking a look at right now is the public user that had been attributed to Argentum. So this is actually what you'd be able to see in the backend. So let's take a jump back and let's jump into website. So what essentially had happened was, if I go into e-commerce and I took a look at, let's say our customers, we can see now we have 2 customers. We have Argentum and myself, right? Now with Argentum, we could see that he purchased 1 item. Let's go ahead and go into sales. Let's see what he'd purchased for 450 dirhams. And we can see exactly at what time he had purchased it. So this was about 9 minutes, right? So what happened right now is automatically, if we jump into the forecast, the system tells us that we have an availability of 10 items. Now the reason, and let's jump back in, the reason it's not forecasted, it's still forecasted with pending, is because this sales order has not been confirmed. Now, if Argentum had paid for it, and please don't pay for the 450 virtual office chair, what would happen is this would move from forecast with pending to then the actual forecasted amount, because the outgoing would then be 2. But at the moment, it has not been confirmed yet. So let's go ahead and Argentum, I'm going to confirm it on your behalf. Don't worry, you're not going to have to pay for anything. Let's go ahead and confirm this, right? So now this has been confirmed. So what has happened is we have 2 reserved items. Jump back into forecast. It has now been updated. We could see exactly where it's been used by, exactly how much is outgoing, and then we can go ahead and take a look at the final forecasted amount, right? Excellent. Now, what I can do as well is I can take a look at what Argentum's point of view would look like. If I go ahead and preview, this is Argentum's point of view. While he's in the office or he's at home, this is what he'd be able to see. He can see that now, as part of our fulfillment, it's still in preparation, right? Our inventory team has not sent it out for delivery. And at the same time, he would be able to pay. Now, Argentum, if you're able to find the screen, what I'd like you to do is navigate over to this section and try to type me a message, right? Give me your feedback on this item. Maybe you want to add another item or you want to remove an item. I'll check back in a couple of minutes, because this essentially is where you're able to communicate with your customers in real time. So if a customer were to receive this sales order for the 2 items that they had purchased, he can type in a number or he can type in communication. And then from there, we'd be able to go ahead back and forth, right? I'll navigate back to this shortly, but let's go ahead and deliver Argentum's items. Now, the way this simplifies my life is because at the moment, I'm safe. I'm sitting down managing this furniture shop that I just opened. I'm getting orders in. I haven't had the time to hire a finance manager. I haven't had the time to hire an inventory manager, a procurement manager. I now am the only person managing all these different business units. So what Odoo does to simplify this is it lets me know exactly when it's been scheduled, exactly when the deadline for delivery is, what the source document is, as well as if the product is available or not. And the way it does this is it goes back to the inventory application once I've done procurement to see if I have any of the stock on hand. In this case, it gives me a very visible green button, that says available. And now I'm able to go ahead and validate. Let's go ahead and validate. Now I can send this by SMS to Argentum. And this is what it would look like. We're glad to inform you order number 2 has been shipped. Argentum would get that message, of course, if I was connected to a provider, because right now I'm not connected to any server. Right? Internally, what I'm able to track as well is the operation. So what happened here is we've picked this from the stock and we've delivered it to Argentum. This is important maybe later down the line when you have a large warehouse as your business scales. You might have different racks, different shelves, different storage areas. right? But for now, since it's just our stock, which in my case is a warehouse I'm renting out from my cousin, we're able to see how much was pulled from there. Excellent. Now let's go back to the site. What we're able to see now is, let me take a look. Maybe if anyone else did another order, let's take a look at our orders. It would just be myself and Argentum. Now, what we're able to see is essentially this consolidated view where we're able to track every bit of our procurement, every bit of our distribution, every bit of our inventory, every bit of our e-commerce through the same application that we've spent about 30 minutes in. Now, of course, I'm sure in your own time, you're going to go ahead and add a couple of bits of more detail. You're going to change a few bits of layout, maybe design. You're going to add your information maybe in the contact us form, because what you're able to do with this is you're able to link it back to the CRM, which is one of the applications that we haven't dove into today. This is particularly important if you're dealing with B2B. You've grown large enough and you're dealing with offices now where they're asking for 100, 200, 300 items. In that case, the e-commerce would not suffice. What we'd need is, of course, we'd have different price lists for our B2B clients, is we're going to have this contact us page where as soon as they add their subject, their question, it then feeds back into our CRM, right? Finally, what I want to take a look at is we've done our procurement, we've done our supply chain, we've done our inventory, we've done our sales. The last thing that's remaining is let's take a look at accounting. So let me go ahead and install the accounting application. And then once that's done, I can go ahead and take your questions. Now, finally, at the end of the day, businesses are started for two main reasons. The first is it is a passion project. It is something you're passionate about. It's something you're willing to risk. Put your time in, put your money in. However, at the end of the day, we need to see how our financials are doing, how healthy the business is from a financial and operational perspective. And the way we're going to do that is through our accounting. Now, this is the accounting dashboard. And essentially, to summarize it, I'm not a chartered accountant myself. I'm sure some of the audience here are, and some aren't. So we're going to keep this quite high level. So you can track your sales, you can track your purchases, as well as your tax returns once you're eligible. You can, of course, also connect with the bank, and we can take a look at our payments. Now, if we look at payments, of course, this is the bill that we had to pay our vendor. And we could see that this payment is attached to this bill, and it's been paid. But what I want to take a look at is simply you have your accounts receivable from your customers, where you can track your invoices, your credit notes, your payments, your product, and your customers, which in this case would be Argentum. And I believe Argentum made another sale. Let's take a look at what he bought. Excellent. He bought one office chair with delivery as well. Thank you, Argentum. He's been our top client. Now, let's actually reward Argentum for this once we're done. I'll explain quickly the accounts payable side of things, the bills, the refunds, the payments, the products, and the vendors. And then finally, you have your journal entries for your transactions, your journal items, and any transfers. You could take a look at your balance sheet, your profit and loss, any statement reports, as well as any relevant localization reports, for example, corporate tax, as well as your tax report here in the UAE. If we jump into our profit and loss, we can see a very quick breakdown of what that looks like. Again, Odoo is completely compliant with the Federal Tax Authority here in the UAE. So what you're able to do is if you're going into, let's say, your tax report, you can go ahead and manage this and then push it to the Emara Tax portal once you export it in the relevant format, and then log your taxes from there. But if we keep going, we could take a look at, for example, our profit and loss, and we can drill down this information. So let's say the cost of revenue. We can see that this is going into our cost of goods sold and trading. And then we can go ahead and jump into general ledger, and we can specifically see the journal items, see which bill it's associated with, and then we could jump back into this bill. Now, the name of the game with Odoo is that everything is completely integrated, which is why it took a moment to take a look at this. So what I want to do is to make this a bit interactive as well, is let's go back to our customers, and let's go back to Argentum. So now, since Argentum is one of our top clients and top customers, he's been doing a pretty good job of joining sort of interacting with the session, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add maybe a specific price list for Argentum. Let's call this the Argentum special price. And I'm going to go ahead and create and edit this price list. So what this means is for all our products at no minimum quantity, I want there to be, let's say, I want everything to cost 10 dirhams. No? Let's say thank you to Argentum. So what this does, let me go ahead and save and close. This Argentum special price list is associated with Argentum only. What that means is if anyone else that is not associated with Argentum tries to go ahead and purchase these items, they'll get the normal price. Argentum, however, is going to get everything for 10 dirhams. Right? Now, if he wants to go ahead and try again, I'd be more than happy to showcase how this is done live. But essentially what I wanted to showcase is that although we went very high level, within Odoo itself, all the different modules are integrated. And this just gave you a quick glimpse. We're able to change things such as payment terms. We're able to change things such as payment methods, the price list, the delivery method, the fiscal position. We can jump into accounting. We can jump into notes. We're able to change their address, their company name, etc. Right? All that is able to be managed on Odoo, and that can be done through our 80 different modules. Right? So we do have very granular reporting, very granular configuration, very granular setup. It just depends on how involved you want to get. Right? Now, we kept this quite simple, quite straightforward to get everyone to get started. But the last thing I want to showcase before we go into our Q&A is the dashboards. Now, the dashboards is quite important is because this gives you a pulse check on how well the business is doing. So let's jump into dashboards. Now, as you can see, what this does, and I had mentioned earlier that you're able to mess around with every single data point on the system, the dashboard then consolidates this. Right? I'm sure if you're starting your own business or if you have your own experience from the jobs that you're currently in, we understand that end of month reporting or end of quarter business review takes a day, hours, or even weeks to prepare the report that management or yourself are looking for. What we do on Odoo is we simplify this process. We let you focus on growing the business while we take care of the more tedious back-end stuff. And what that looks like is generating a report. For example, what we're taking a look at here in our dashboards is our sales report. Now, of course, this is completely customizable. It's built on an Excel backend. But what we're able to do is, in this example, we could take a look at the number of quotations, the number of orders, our average revenue, as well as the average per order. Sorry, total revenue and average per order. Now, we can see the top quotations with our revenue. And I believe Argentum, if I open this, yeah, Argentum had just purchased 2 items for that 10 dirhams, right? Now, what happens is, and Porty, Yushan, I believe you just asked this question at the perfect time about price list. In a B2B setup, if a customer is assigned to a specific price list, will the e-commerce site automatically display the updated prices for them? Yes, and that's exactly what happened. Argentum or your customers are not able to change their price list. We set very strict access controls on that level because if that was the case, every single customer would select the VIP price list and it would eat up at your margins. What happened with Argentum right now is he went and purchased these items, 1 office chair and 1 desk chair, probably to test it out or see if I have any errors. And then from there, he was able to see that his price was automatically set at 10 dirhams. Right? Now, in order for them to change, that could be maybe in a discount. If they have a special discount code, if they have a loyalty program involved, if they've gotten certain points, that's where they can really be involved with the discounting side of things. But as a rule of thumb, you're the person that's setting the price list. Right? I hope that answered your question, Porty. But moving forward, thank you again for the live example, Argentum. You've been quite helpful demoing this alongside me. But again, that just goes back to our the price list that we have. But moving forward to the dashboard, the reason that this is a quotation is because it hadn't been confirmed to an order. So it's not actualized revenue, it's expected revenue. So this gives your sales manager the ability, or yourself, the ability to see which orders are still open and which have been confirmed. In terms of confirmed orders or sales orders, we're able to see our top ranking one. The first one being myself when we were testing, and the second one being the Argentum one. Now, notice something interesting that I did as soon as I clicked this one, I saw the Argentum had purchased. We could see that it takes me back to the report. So again, this goes back to my point where every bit of data can be pulled for this report. And this works for the rest. In terms of our best-selling products, how many we've sold, what category it's in, best-selling categories, and of course our ranking. If we're taking a look at accounting, we haven't really touched on accounting too much, so we have no data to play around with. Taking a look at invoicing, that would be the same. But we have benchmarks as well that gives you an overview onto the financial health in your company. What that looks like is, for example, we're benchmarking our gross profit margin, or maybe our working capital, our cash flow ratio, or our debt to equity ratio. And from there, we're able to see these different options. Right? Excellent. Now, with that being said, we've been able to walk through our e-commerce, or let's start from the beginning, how to even start off with Odoo, create a website, jump into e-commerce, manage your supply chain, and that means, of course, your procurement, your distribution, your inventory, your stock management, as well as maybe a few bits more detail for your clients, giving them a couple of different price lists, adding discounts if necessary, and then, of course, consolidating everything in one dashboard and one report at the end. Now, if you have any questions, we have a couple more minutes until 3:45 almost. I'd be happy to take your questions. And from there, we're able to discuss further, or if there's anything in specific you might want to see. What I recommend personally is, instead of waiting for me to showcase, go ahead and jump into the system, try it out just like I showed you. You'll be able to rewatch this live stream. And from there, you can see exactly how we created, how we set up, and you can go ahead and try it from there. Right. So I'll just wait for a couple of questions to come in. Let's go ahead and see. Right, Bodhi, to follow up on your question, you mentioned if they have to choose in the checkout. No, price list would be different from a discount, right? A price list is, for example, let's say you work with a client on a recurring basis, right? On that client with a recurring basis, you might give them a favorable price list that, you've made a sales agreement that anytime they purchase from you, they're going to be purchasing at this flat rate, or maybe at this margin, or at this discount. So that's how you'd set that price list. However, for your B2C clients, for example, in your e-commerce, you might have your end of year discount, your New Year's discount, your Eid discount, which would be a code that you might post on your social media. Right, Ahmed asked a great question. This is more focused on accounting. How can I link a product to an analytic account in order to measure net profitability on product? And can this be done on the product category? Yes, we've done that for several of my clients personally before. However, this is more in terms of an accounting setup. Right, you're looking at your analytic accounts. Each one is being treated as a cost center of some sort. In that case, you can essentially see how much money is being spent on this product in terms of procurement versus how much you're selling it for. And then you could see your average margin. Now, what I can do is to show you the gross margin, and Shivender even asked this question, is while I'm not a technical guy, I can show you that this setting is available. Now, this is Odoo's backend setting screen. You're probably going to spend quite some time here. But this is what we're taking a look at, our margin analysis. What we can do is simply go ahead and toggle this. Let me actually go ahead and go back to sharing the screen. Let me just walk you guys through that again. Apologies for that. We go back to settings. We're going to go ahead and search for margin. And we can see our margin analysis that I'm able to select. And from there, we can monitor our product margins from our invoices. Essentially, yeah, your cost and profit analysis. Thank you, Shvinder. Excellent. Gon, you are asking how to do contact fusion. I don't quite understand your question. Can you give me a bit more details, maybe, or maybe an example of what exactly it is you're looking for? Thank you, Shavinder. My pleasure. Porty asks, great questions again. Porty, can we send a delivery status to a customer? Now, what exactly do you mean by that delivery status? Now, when we were looking at our delivery order before, take a look at our inventory. Let me go ahead and showcase this. Take a look at our operations, look at deliveries, look at the ones we've scheduled for Argentum. This status has been completed. Now, what this shows us is if I go ahead, Argentum gone, purchase without an account. Okay, let me tackle this first, and then we'll go ahead back with your question gone. It is a great and very valid question, right? Now, let's go back again to this warehouse delivery, right? And what we're looking at is to send the delivery status to the customer. So what happens in the customer portal that we had showcased earlier, it showcases the status. So if you remember, I believe we can navigate this from the sales, right? Go back to accounting. Let's go to customers. Let's go to here. Let's remove our customer invoices. And let's take a look at Argentum. We'll take a look at his sales. We're going to go look at preview. There we go. So, Pori, to answer your question, and it was a bit of a roundabout way for me to get there, my apologies, but this is where you're able to track the delivery order. So he can track the reference itself, which is delivery order number 1, and he can see that it's been shipped. Now, of course, here's where he's able to print the document for the delivery note. And he's able to track the status. Now, earlier it was being prepared because we haven't validated, or the inventory manager hadn't validated it yet. But now, once it's been updated and shipped, which we had done in the back end, it's updated in the front end in their customer preview. Right, great question, Gon. Now, in that case, in order for us to track, what we're looking at is contact management. Now, let me jump into the App Store and showcase that we have the contact management application. And this is where we're able to centralize the entire address book. So as soon as we've installed this and we've configured it, any duplicate contacts, for example, would show as one, instead of it having to create a new Argentum every single time. And I believe that's you, Gon, right? The one that created Argentum, Gon. I just made that link. Thank you for interacting throughout the session. It's been great going back and forth with you for the sales, and I hope you didn't accidentally pay for any of the products. Shivender, excellent question. How much will it cost you to start a new setup excluding inventory? Amazing. In order to start, excluding inventory, if you're only looking at e-commerce, you're not looking at purchase, inventory, accounting, or the rest of the applications, it's free, right? If you're looking to start with these rest of the applications, you're able to access all the 80 Odoo applications from a single user subscription, right? Every user is going to have their own subscription. Now, since we have different prices according to the different locations you're in, if you go ahead and go to odoo.com, I'm just going to type it on my screen just so you can see what it looks like. odoo.com/pricing. You're going to be able to see which prices is applicable to you, and you can go ahead and get started right now, even while we're in this session. Right, Puri, so you mean if you can send an SMS or email to the customer when the items are shipped and delivered? Yes, you are. And to take it a step further, you're also able to send a WhatsApp. So again, jumping into the App Store. You're able to message and send these to your clients through WhatsApp. Now, with WhatsApp, there is a couple of caveats. That being, you have to have a Meta Business account, and then there's a whole list of regulations you have to go through there. You have to make sure you have a template that is, completely in line with and approved with what they're able to allow you to send. But then once you send the template and your customer responds, you're able to go back and forth with them on your chatter over here. So yes, you can send through email, you can send through SMS, depending on if your provider allows it. That's another caveat. And as well as WhatsApp, but these things are mostly the external provider's responsibility, whether or not they allow it. If they say yes, we're going to say yes. Right? We'll take a couple more minutes if anyone else has any questions, and then we'll call it a day from there. right? I think we don't have any more questions. What I'm curious to see actually is whether or not Argentum Gone has made any orders. So let's go ahead and let me go into our customers over here. Let's see if you've done any other orders or not. Let's see our sales. Nothing at the moment. Okay. I thought maybe you might have added something else. Excellent. Okay. Anyways, if there aren't any more questions, again, I'll just give it another minute. If there aren't any more questions, we can go ahead and end it. Also glad to see the community helping out, Ahmed and Porty. It's good to see you guys answering each other's questions. It's always helpful to see that, a software built on the community, by the community, is giving back. So that's always great to see. All right, I think we're good to go. On that note, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been a pleasure walking you through this, and a special thank you to everyone that has been helping us. That means you, Gone specifically, for interacting throughout the session. I'd be more than happy to host any of these as well. Please let our marketing team know what kind of sessions you'd like to see, what kind of sessions will get the most interaction, and go ahead and get started with Odoo. Right? You can go ahead and start with the Odoo e-commerce as we did. That would simply be, let's walk you through it right now, odoo.com. Go ahead and press enter. Start now, it's free. There's a bunch of people in this session, so I'm hoping to see a bunch more, maybe not furniture stores, but a bunch more people signing on. That would be fantastic. This is the screen again, odoo.com. Go ahead and start now. And then what you'll notice is that someone will get in contact with you to assist you in case anything's needed. Now, if you require consultant support or Odoo functional consultant support to set the system up for you as well, you can speak to your account manager and they can set that up. Thank you guys. I'm glad everyone was able to join us for the session, and I hope everyone has a good one. Thank you.